Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel. My name is Oshin and I'm not a financial advisor. In today's episode, we're going to be taking an interview with an author, an excellent author by the name Tunde Kukoyi. I actually picked up his book and I discovered that I could personally relate with this book. What better way than to bring Tunde Kukoyi on the channel to have him speak about certain things, his personal beliefs on investing, on finances, and particularly why he actually wrote that book. I advise everyone to pick up a copy of that book. You can click in the description below. You will find the links to this book on Amazon and on Konga. I advise everyone listening to this video right now to go ahead and purchase that book. It's a book that will change your life. Let's jump straight to the interview session with Tunde Kukoyi. Great to have you here today, and thank you very much for giving us this honor and privilege of sharing your experience. So, with the first question I want to ask you is, what's your educational background? And because I know you are sort of science oriented, so what's your educational background? Do you mind telling us something about yourself?
Hi, Yoshi. Thanks for having me on the show. I consider this a very great privilege. You really don't know what this means to me, but thanks for inviting me and speaking with me. So
Yes.
yeah, my name is Tunde Kukoyi. And for my educational background, like everyone else, or like most people, I went to primary school, secondary school, in university, I studied medicine. And after university, for another 1 year, I went to the master's program in healthcare management. And currently, I'm doing my postgraduate medical training in internal medicine. I'm specifically interested in the field of cardiology. So, yes, I'm a medical doctor and I'm working to become a cardiologist. So, I'm kind of like a middle grade doctor, currently training to become a cardiologist. So, as you can imagine, I've spent many years studying in school. Uh, I think to start with primary school, I think primary school is usually about 9 years, isn't it? But I managed to spend 7 years because I had what we call double promotion at one year, and then I skipped primary six and went on to secondary school. Secondary school, basic 6 years. That's what I had. And then university, I wasn't very lucky in university because
Right.
because initially the first thing was I didn't get medicine, which is what I wanted to study. So I studied biochemistry for a year, and then I had to go back do JAMB, and then I went on to study medicine, which should have been 7 years on its own, but because of the numerous strikes in my university and in Nigeria as a whole, I spent 9 years studying medicine. So in total, I spent 10 years in university. So adding it up, 7 years plus 6 years plus 10 years, that's 23 years. And then I spent another 1 year doing masters in healthcare management, 24 years. And now I'm still studying, although I'm working on studying at the moment. So it still feels kind of different, but it
Okay.
just puts into perspective how many years I've spent studying. So yeah, that's my personal background if you want to.
All right. So I guess we are affected by the long strikes of universities in Nigeria. It's a common.
Yeah,
What did you
yeah.
do during that period? Did you pick up skills and travel and have fun, just like our ASU
Well,
people have told them to do right now?
Well, I think because we had numerous strikes and because it was medical, I was studying medicine. So sometimes it was ASU strike generally, and some other times it was what we call ARD strike. That's resident doctor strike. So it was just a mixture of different strikes, and sometimes you never know how long it takes. So there were times that I just played it all away because
Okay.
I didn't know anything back then. But I think the most significant one was the last one that was just it happened about just 2 months before our final exams, and then we had very long strike, and everybody just gave up. And all I did was I just kept doing what I was doing. I kept studying, I kept going for clinics and everything like that. And I think it paid off in the end because I think I'm a better person for it. But yeah, so that's how I spent my strike years.
All right. I picked up a copy of your book, and after reading the book, I just felt like we had to do this interview with you. Like I could relate with the book personally, and I believe people out there too will be able to relate to it. So, what informed you actually to write that book? You could start with the title of the book, really.
Okay. Right. So the title of the book is The Illiterate Professional. And people always ask me, why would you say the illiterate professional? The terms are contradictory. Why would you say illiterate and professional? You can't be a professional and be illiterate. But I think it all comes from my own personal story. Like I've shared with you, I spent a significant fraction of my life. I've spent a significant fraction of my life in the schooling system, studying. And I realized that all those years in school prepared me for was just for my work, but not really for life itself. And a couple of things came up, like some financial issues, and then you're wondering, like, oh, why didn't I learn all of this when I was younger? And then I realized that apart from being a professional in my own sector, which is the healthcare sector, when it came to other things like finances, relationships, productivity, I knew next to nothing. I checked with some of my other colleagues in my profession, outside my profession, and even with some of the senior people in my profession that I felt would know these things. And they were also not aware of all these things. So that's where I coined the term the illiterate professional from. So what I did was I invested some of my time and obviously some of my money. I did some courses, I watched some videos, I read a lot of books, and then I also started doing some things like practicing some things like trying to invest, trying to learn how to do real estate and things like that. And it was from learning that I got from that I felt everyone doesn't have to go through the same thing I went through. I think that people need to know this early enough. And that's why I wrote the book, The Illiterate Professional.
Okay, excellent. What does financial freedom mean to you? Because from what you said about the reason behind the book, it basically has to do with your finances as a person. So what does financial freedom and happiness mean to you?
I think financial freedom is related to happiness, but although I wouldn't say that they actually mean the same thing. For many people, financial freedom will bring them happiness. So, what does financial freedom mean? For many people, it just means I have all the money in the world. When we were younger, I would just say, I wish I had $1 billion. I had for no particular reason. For no particular reason. That's why people just say, I just want to be free. But I think financial freedom actually it could actually be measured in terms of time, and that is when you have the power to use your time to what you want to use it for without having to worry about how you fund it. So whether it is time to spend with your family, time to spend helping other people, time to spend in your career. For if you are financially free, for example, and you're a doctor, you will be working just because you love the work, not because you have to get paid. And I think that's what financial freedom means to me. Like when you have the ability to make decisions about your time, how you spend your time, without having to worry about how you fund it. I think that's what financial freedom means to me. Happiness, on the other hand, like I said, financial freedom is also part of happiness, but happiness, I think, is like a state of mind. And that comes from making progress in life. That's one thing that brings happiness for most people. When you're able to live out your passions and when you're able to have a fulfilled life, I think that's what brings happiness to everyone.
I must ask this question at this point in time. How do people grow their finances? Like, what are the steps people are meant to be taking in order to be able to live a life with, financial freedom, happiness? Basically, you said something. You said to you, it's all about following your passion. It's not a matter of looking at your time every hour and like, closing time. It's passion, something you go out for, not necessarily because it pays you, but because you love doing it. So what are the steps you can take to actually attain that height or that point in our life?
Well, it's like you said, there are steps. It's not just one key, like, okay, this is what I do, and then I become financially free. I think for one, you have to be able to get enough money to be able to invest. And how do you do that? The way to do that is you want to feed your income and then you want to starve your expenses. That's something that is very key. Also, you also want to develop your mentality so that you can increase your capacity to earn. And that means you have to invest in yourself. Then the other thing is you have to start making your money work for you, because a lot of us we are professionals in different sectors and we all get paid at the end of the month. But I think I read a book and the book was saying that we think this money is for us, like the money we make when we are paid. If, for example, you are paid 20,000, you think 20,000 is for you, but you find out that you have to pay rent. That goes, yeah, taxes. That goes. You have to buy clothes. It goes, and you find out that the money was never really for you. It's for all those people, but it's just put in your care to take care of. So the one that you have to actually get money for yourself out of all of this. And the way to do it is to take a particular percentage of it, and then you have to save that and invest that, put that to good use, and make sure that that money, you can actually call it your own, and it's not the money for the clothing agency or something. Your own money, you have to have it for yourself, and then make sense of it. And the way to make sense of it is to make the money work for you. You've worked for money, you've got some money, but make the money that is your own work for you eventually. And I think something else that I think that we need to do in order to grow is actually to give more. A lot of people underrate this, but I think it's something that's very important, because the more you give, the more you get in return. So it's not just one step, but I think we learn in bits and bits, and then when you start living it out, then you start seeing the manifestations.
Yeah, true. And from your second point, you said we should invest it, let the money work for us. So what's your idea behind people that believe so much in savings rather than investing? Some people miscoin or have a misconception that saving is investment or saving is investing. What do you have to say about that? Is there a clear difference between savings and investing from your second point?
Yes, I think that saving is not the same as investing. Saving is a step lower than investing, but everyone has to start from the mere basic of saving. You cannot invest if you don't save. But the thing with saving is you're just putting money away for use at a particular point in time. Um, and most of us, you either say, I don't know how. Some people save money by keeping it in the house. Some people save money by keeping it in their ceilings, in places that no one else knows about. Most people save by putting it in the bank. And the truth of the matter is, although saving is good, you cannot just stop at saving, because if you just stop at saving, inflation will catch up and will exceed what you saved. So I think in my book, I use the illustration of a parable of talents, although that's not what everybody thinks about when they think of a parable of talents. But I thought that there was still some common sense from that parable, where someone had talent and then went to hide it, whereas the other people that had some talents, they went about trading with their talents, and then they increased the value of their talent. So the one that saved it, although the talent is still there, but the value at the time when the master came back, the value would have been nothing significant compared to when he had it. So it's about the same with saving and investing. If you save in the bank will promise you an interest, but again, inflation will exceed that interest. So the point is that you should save, but the essence of saving is for you to invest with that saving. So you want to save, but you don't want to sit on it for too long. You want to invest, because that is when you can truly increase the value of your savings. So yes, I believe in saving and investing, but I think investment is more important than saving.
Exactly. I was telling people sometime this week, Nigeria, they release all these monthly statistics of inflation rates. And currently, inflation rates are about 14.2%. It has been on a steady rise since January. Last month was 13.1%. I also tell people, like 2015, a dollar was 160.
Yeah.
And then it moved to 360. And then currently is around 480.
Yeah.
We import in Nigeria heavily. So obviously you might be earning 400,000. I'm like, 400,000 naira. You might think you're richer, but let's say in 2015 you were earning 200,000. Trust me, you were richer back then than now. So the people are actually getting poorer. And the easiest way to at least maintain your wealth is to invest.
Definitely.
Rather than save. So it's a good point. So now the next question is, what are some of these ways, or what are some of these channels that we can use to grow our income, our wealth? Some of the channels we can invest in, or some of the things we can invest in, so that we just don't keep our monies in a savings account yielding 1.3% per annum, which is absolutely next to nothing. What are some of the channels we can plug our money while we sleep and allow the money just work for us?
Yeah, I like the way you ended it. Allow the money work for us, because I think when I was younger, I'm probably the same for you. A lot of people that were growing up used to hammer it into our heads, like, you have to work hard for your money, you have to work hard for your money, you have to work hard for your money. And that was the mentality that we grew up with, that we have to work hard for our money. But I think now that I'm grown, well, at least to an extent. I would rather tell younger people that you have to make your money work hard for you. You have to make your money work hard for you. You have to, that's what we need to, because then it creates a different mentality. Because when you're telling people you have to work hard for your money, the only thing they see is I have to work in order to get money. But when you start telling them you have to make your money work hard for you, they have to start thinking that, okay, what can I put my money to use? What use can I put my money to that will make it work hard for me? So yes, I think there is no hard and fast rule about it. You have to actually find what works for you. For I think, but one of the surest ways I think to make your money work hard for you is to actually lend it out and get it back at an interest. Now, if you go as far back as the Babylonian times, that's what they were doing. Like they used to lend out money and then get it back at an interest. And even the big banks, financial institutions, that is what they do. Although they don't tell you that's what they do, they ask you to come and save, come and save your money. But the money that you're saving with them, they're actually lending out to people, to companies to do business, and then they're getting back an interest. And the banks are making all the money. So because we cannot all be banks, I think a way that we can do this is actually through stocks and shares. And although it is not exactly the same, but it's actually the same mentality, because what you're doing is you are putting your money into a company that you trust, that they have potential. You're lending them the money, telling them go and do business, go and do wonders. For example, if you invest in Apple, go and make the next best product. And when you increase in value, you're going to pay me dividends, and the value of my shares will increase as well. So I think that's something, one of the surest ways to make money, to invest in stocks and shares. Some people do crowdfunding, and again, crowdfunding is still the same principle, because you are lending people or companies, even agricultural firms, you're lending them money to go and do business, and then when they make profits, they bring money. So that way, when you start thinking that way, you're actually making your money work for you. You don't have to be the one to go to the farm. You don't have to be the one to design the latest iPhone or something, but you're making your money work for you. I've when I've spoken about this to several people, but I understand that some people say that their religion does not permit them to make interest from other people. But again, that's not the only way you can make money. You can actually make money through real estate. For example, you can get a property, get people living in it, people are paying you rent. You've already bought that property, but you keep getting rent. You don't have to keep going to work in order to get that rent. It's something that keeps coming in. Many other things, you can share information. A lot of people make money from YouTube videos now, from being social media influencers, from connecting sellers to buyers just by posting the pictures online. So the opportunities are endless. And I think that's the point. You have to find out what works for you, and then work at it and make it work for you. But I would say about the surest ways of making money include like the stock market, real estate, because I was reading a book, and most of the rich families in America, that is how they made their money, through the stock market, real estate, and investing um, in companies that they believe that had potential, investing in innovation basically. And I think that's probably the surest way to increase your value.
Exactly. So, but in Nigeria now, the stock exchange is really, I tell people, yes, I've tried it before. I just tried the little amount of money that I could afford to lose. And yes, I almost lost it all. And so people seem to be skeptical right now in investing in stocks and all of that. People have a belief that generally stocks are fraud, you always lose money. What do you have to tell those kind of people that believe that investing in stocks is a sure way to lose your money?
Oh, well, I think that it's just about knowing what you invest in. I don't invest in Nigeria, in the Nigerian stock market, so I wouldn't provide advice on something I don't know about. But I know that the global stock market for over 100 years has continually been bringing in profits for people. So, and the thing is, with the way information technology has grown in today's world, you don't necessarily have to invest in Nigeria, even though you live in Nigeria. You can invest anywhere in the world. There are different trading apps that you can actually use to buy shares and watch your shares grow. If you think that you are not very comfortable with investing actively, there's also what we call index funds, and that's basically is you are tracking the markets and you are not the one doing. You can actually be a passive investor. For me, that's what I do at the moment. Not to say that that's the best approach, because I think that if I had more knowledge and more time, I probably would do some active investments, because that is bound to yield greater returns. But given the fact that the stock market has continually provided returns, I think about 10% annually,
Yeah.
I think that even if you cannot invest actively, the bare minimum you should be doing is investing passively. And that's why I appreciate what you're doing, because you're shedding light on, although you're not saying this is what you must invest in, but you're actually opening people's eyes to see that you can actually make this much if you decide to invest with this company, with this company. I think that's something, and that's why I think I'll start following more of your videos, because I'm thinking about making that change, at least, or diversifying. So it's not all about passive investment. There, you can make some money from passive investments, but you cannot make obviously you cannot be as rich as Warren Buffett and all of that just by doing passive investment, because they do active investing, because they invest in what they know about. So yeah, like you said, I think the key is know what you're investing in, and then don't just do it for the short term. You should be for the long haul. There's no point trying to dabble in and then just running out. You have to be there for the long term. Exactly. And as much as possible, you want to be reducing unnecessary fees when you're investing. So you have to go for low cost platform, because the aim is to compound your money, not that you compound your fees. Exactly. Compound your money. Yeah.
Compounded fees over years is a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, when I started investing in stocks, I had just 4 companies. I had Tesla, I had Apple, I had Square, and I had Microsoft. Just 4 companies. But today I have about 18 companies.
Wow.
Including the recovery stocks. So I take calculated risk for some of them. And again, just trying to balance the portfolio, so in the long run, I'm at a positive.
I think people should follow your channel more and learn more useful knowledge. Really.
There was a seminar I was invited for, and someone asked a question. Investing, when you're investing, doesn't mean you have to starve yourself. Like, the question was, what do you have to tell people that putting all their money into savings and they say they're investing in one thing or the other, they don't look good, they don't dress well, they look hungry, their families look hungry. So everybody burst into laughter that day when the question was thrown at me. What's your own opinion on that?
I think I get where the person is coming from, and that's because some people say that, because you're investing, you need to suffer, you need to starve yourself. I don't think that is true, but I would rather say that even if that's what you do, it's probably better than you looking very good and not investing at all. So I would rather look miserable and be investing than look like I've got the whole world and have nothing in the bank. But again, you don't have to make life miserable for yourself. I think all you need to do, for many people, you don't need to break the bank in order to invest. All you need to do is just decide on a certain percentage, even if it's just 5% of your income or 10%, and just keep doing it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to start big. And that's the good thing about investing is that it kind of compounds. It's not just an arithmetic progression that it goes from 1 to 2 to 3. It's more geometric. So the truth is, you don't have to look miserable to invest. You can just take a certain percentage that you'd have used for something that you probably did not need anyway, and just decide that this amount I'm just going to give it to investing. You can make it automatic if you think that will make it better, but I think the miserable thing will be not to invest, because it's just like seeds. Like, investing is just like sowing seeds. Seeds are not meant to be eaten, and that is why if you try to eat the seeds are either hard, they are bitter, or they are painful. The seeds are meant to be sown. So you might eat it and you feel like, yes, you've had your way, but in the long run you find that it causes pain, bitterness, and hardship. So I think the miserable thing would be not to invest at all and to look like the person on top of the world.
There's this general notion our parents have
Yeah.
And I'm sure almost everybody has had one form of issue or the other growing up. Like, go to school,
Mm-hmm.
have good grades, you can't negotiate that.
Yeah.
Finish, get a job, buy
Mm-hmm.
a car, rent a house,
Yeah.
marry, have
Mm-hmm.
children. In fact, if you have one self, it's a problem. They will start, where's the second one? Where's the third one?
Yeah.
And then just walk, 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 and just
Mm-hmm.
work in one place. Don't change job.
Yeah.
One place, 35 years, and retire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your opinion on that? Because for me personally, I find that quite boring. Within the last 10 years, I've changed jobs a couple of times. I
Yeah.
get bored at every point. I like doing new things. I like challenging stuff. So,
Yeah.
what's your opinion on that?
Yeah. So I think that the reasons, I mean, you cannot give what you don't have. That's the truth of that. And the reason why most of our parents taught us that is because that is what they learned. Okay, and fair enough. During their time, I think that was a reasonable thing to learn because then they were in the industrial age, so to say, and that was what works for the industrial age. If you didn't go to school, you couldn't get a job. If you don't get a job, you're not going to make money to buy your house and all of that. And it worked. It worked for them, and that is why they are suggesting that we should just follow that path. But I think times are changing. We're no longer in the industrial age per se. We're now in like the information age. It's not the it's not the factories that are making the money now. It's the IT companies that are making money. Apple, Microsoft, Google, everything. So you don't necessarily have to go to school, go to university, get a job with a company, work for 35 years. And that is what we are seeing in Nigeria now. A lot of people are now they've gone to school, they've followed that system up to a particular point in time, and they found out that it's not working for them. They finish school and they're like, no jobs, no jobs, no jobs, no jobs. So I think, I think that system is beginning to fail us because, like I said, we're no longer in the industrial age, we're in the information age.
Mhm.
So as a bare minimum, I still agree that I think people should at least have basic education, and that might be primary and secondary education. And if it works for you, you want to go into a white collar job, by all means go into it. But I don't think it should be compulsory. I think what like we've been talking about, things like this are things that we need to actually start teaching the younger generation, like how to invest, how to how to reduce your expenses, increase your income, improve your skills. And if so be it that they want to go to school, university in order to achieve that, fine. But if they want to become social media influencers to achieve that, fine. Success is success either way. It is not until when you become um, a doctor or anything. But not to put aside the importance of 9 to 5 jobs, because again, because people are now preaching that, people are now saying going to school is a waste of time. I think it's not a waste of time because I cannot imagine if all we had in the world were people that were just venture capitalists, social media influencers, and then you didn't have teachers, you did not have drivers that would be in the supply chain, you didn't have doctors, you didn't have policemen and everything. I think the world would just be in a state of chaos. So I don't think that people should, on one hand, I don't think that you should be forcing people to go into school. And on the other hand, I don't think you should be discouraging 9 to 5 jobs. You have to find the balance. And I think that's where it all goes back to the basics. Like if you have the basic knowledge on how to succeed, regardless of what you do, then how you go about it doesn't really matter as long as you know what success means to you and you're going for it.
Yeah, yeah. There was something you mentioned when you were talking about this. You said skills. A lot of people actually that I know, various stories, they just go to school, get good grades, get a job, and just sit down, do nothing. They seem to lack skill. They seem to lack the understanding of value. Like
Yeah,
I personally think people should get skill and add value to the company that they are working for in order to
yeah,
get a
definitely.
raise or get promotion or something. A lot of
Yeah,
Nigerian a lot of Nigerians don't do that right now. They just, let me just go to school, get job, finish well and get a job. Their own is get a job.
yeah,
They lack what it means to give value. So I think the fact that people don't know that value is what is important makes everybody try to rush to get a job you can actually
Yeah,
start something on your own after school or during
definitely.
school. I see a lot of people abroad, like Americans, British, they're 18, they're already out of the house. They are hustling for themselves. They are paying their
Yeah.
college fees themselves, getting loans to do that. They are getting into stocks, real estate on at a young age, 18, 19, 20. They're already doing well. But in Nigeria, it's you see like a 30 plus year old still collecting money from mommy and daddy, still living in
Mm,
a friend's house. What do you
yeah.
think? What do you think is the problem here? Is it our culture? What has affected us as Nigerians? What has affected us, in your own opinion?
Hmm. So I think for one is the environment. I think if most of these people were also in environments, American environment, British environment, I think that they probably would have realized it early enough that it's not just about getting a job and staying at that level, because they find out that very soon they lose competency, and people that are younger than them would come above them because of the skills, that because they're constantly upgrading their skills. So I think on one hand the environment is a factor, but you cannot just blame everything on the environment. It's also on your own exposure, because if you, even in Nigeria, if you are shared with a certain set of people, you'll find out that I'm not at the level where I need to be. So I think that environment is a factor, but you can also create your own environment wherever you are, whether you're in Antarctica or wherever. You can actually look for people that are going where you want to go, like-minded people. So I think if you hang out with people that they are just living to work, have fun on the weekends, stay in their parents' houses, collect money from their parents, that is what you would do eventually. But if you hang out with people, even in Nigeria, that they've already started investing. They are thinking of ways to move the marketplace forward and move themselves forward. That is how you think as well. So I think that we need to start creating an enabling environments for people, um, not just as a country, but in smaller circles, like building things like mastermind, so that you can actually get people to start seeing that there is another way. It's not just what you've known, there is another way. And I think that's something that would actually help us, because in these other countries that you talk about, they have a lot of all those things like groups, high value networks, where people actually, where their eyes are open to things like, oh, I've just been playing with my life all along, and then they start learning the real thing, and then start making life work for them. So yeah.
Okay, because I can give several examples. Look at the likes of Mark Zuckerberg, started Facebook young.
Yeah.
Um, Elon Musk has always been into one company or the other. A lot of people don't even know Elon Musk actually started PayPal before he sold,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, all these guys were young. And look at the
Yeah.
number of jobs they've created. Look at the values of
Mm-hmm.
the companies they've created. So
Yeah.
I just think people should go more after value
Yeah.
rather than money. You see a lot of people right now, you see them, they want to collect the money, they want to earn big salary, but they're not
Yeah.
asking, what can I do? What can I give? They're not asking that question. It is, what can I
Yeah.
collect? What can I receive?
Yeah.
I think personally, I think that mentality needs to change. What advice would you have for people who spend a lot more than they earn? Like their expense outruns and outweighs their income. What advice would you have? Do you have for them?
Okay. I mean, I'm sure they know the advice already. It's just I'm just going to repeat. I'm just going to be repeating what is obvious, that you cannot actually live by spending more than you earn, because if you keep living by spending more than you earn, you always be at the mercy of others, always, like always, whether it's your landlords, the creditors, you always be at the mercy of others. So if you really want to be free, the truth will be is to actually find ways that you can actually spend less than you earn, because it is in that gap that you can actually make a difference. Like I said earlier, that is the money that is truly your own. The difference between what you earn and what you spend, that is money that you can say, this is my money, not the one that you've actually spent already and people are asking you for the money in return. So if that is what you're doing, you need to find ways to either increase the amount you are earning, or reduce the amount you are spending, but the best would probably be to increase what you're earning and to reduce what you're spending. Because if you only just increase what you are earning, your expenses will catch up with you. It has happened to me several times. Like, just let me change my job. When I get this higher paying job, I'll be fine. And then you get higher paying job, and the expenses just from nowhere they just start increasing. Like it's just they're just like a set of twins. So I think that the more important thing is cutting down on what you spend. You have to be ruthless about it sometimes, but I think that's the way forward. If you want to actually be free, then you need to do that.
Do you think financial literacy is taught in schools? Do you think they teach you how to be financially literate in school? Because, like you said, from your own story, you came out of school and you noticed you lacked in some certain areas. Finances was one of them. How come? But you spent 23 years in school. How come you still lacked financial literacy? And many people do, actually. That's the truth. Many people do. And the truth is, growing up, you spend a lot more time in school. A lot more time in school. So what exactly is the problem? What should be done? Do they teach it in school? Should they teach it in school? What's your opinion on that?
Well, to start with, I don't think financial literacy is taught in schools well enough. At least for me as a person, I didn't learn anything about financial literacy when I was in school. So I don't know about you, but for me, I didn't learn enough about financial literacy when I was in school. Now, the question about whether it should be taught in school is a very tricky question, because if I just say yes, it should be taught in schools, then it's just a matter of, let's add it to the curriculum. Today we are doing financial literacy after geography or after physics or after. Is it going to make a difference to people's lives? That's the question. Because what will happen is people that don't know about financial literacy will just come and read a book or just read a chapter to you, or just and you think that you taught financial literacy. So I think it should be taught in schools, but maybe not the way that things are being taught conventionally. Not just come write a note on financial literacy or write. I think it should be something practical, something like, okay, when you're in probably university or in secondary school, there's a particular course that, okay, you give everyone a particular amount and say, okay, go and do some work with this money, invest with it, or start a business with it, and then come back and teach the class what you've learned about it. So that way is kind of like experiential knowledge. It's not just someone coming to just read books to you. I don't know how possible that will be, but I'm just trying to say that not just knowledge that they just read to you, but something that you actually experienced and you've acted upon. Because you can actually read all the books in the world, but if you don't act on it, then you're not going to learn anything. And that's why I think, although it's not being taught in schools, I would not encourage it to just be added on to the curriculum. They have to be creative about it if you really want to make a difference in financial literacy in the world.
What was the last book you read? Whether hard copy, online, what was the last book you read?
I actually have it here, so I can. Yeah, let's see. This is the last book I've read. I don't know if you can see it, but
I can see it. The Obstacle is the Way.
Yeah, The Obstacle is the Way. It's actually not my book. I got it from a friend, but I think the book is actually wonderful, because the book just tries to tell us that a lot of all the people that we think are the great people in the world, the exceptional people in the world, that they were not really special people per se. They just made up their minds that this thing that you are saying that is standing in the way, that is the way, and that is how I'm going to go. Like that obstacle that you're saying, that is how I'm going to go through it. Whether it was someone like Edison, whether it was someone like Aurelius, or some of the other generals, what everyone was saying, there's no way there, there's no way there. Napoleon, that is how they said, this is the way I'm going to go through it. And it's just talking about how you can turn adversity into an advantage for you. And I think that's something that everyone needs to learn, actually. So sometimes we run away from the things that are actually meant to be stepping stones for us. And I think it's a really wonderful book. So I'm advertising the book, essentially.
What's the best quote, your best investment or financial quotes that you like, and who said it?
Okay, so my best, there's lots of quotes regarding finances. For example, I can think of one saying that money is just the reward of adding value. Like the more you add value, the more money you get. I think my best quote of all is a Chinese proverb, actually, and it says that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is now.
Yeah.
So it just brings into concept that the best time to do what you should be doing is a long time ago. But even if you haven't done that, the next best time is now. So don't just keep sitting and saying, "I will do it someday." So it's really important when it comes to investment. Like, the best time for you to have invested was like 20 years ago, because by now only God knows where you'll be. But
Exactly.
if you miss that boat, then there's no point sitting and waiting. The next best time is now. So I think everyone needs to start acting now. And I think that's my best investment quote.
Who is your greatest investor ever to you? A lot of people say it's Warren Buffett, but of
Yeah.
late people have been saying he has lost his touch, his old
Yeah.
school, stuff like that. He's more of a value investor. He likes
Mm-hmm.
to invest in value. He
Okay.
rarely has tech stocks in his portfolio, even though
Mm-hmm.
that has been on the increase because of some certain people in Berkshire. Apple apparently has Apple, but Apple has returned for him the greatest amount ever in his
Mm-hmm.
portfolio. So, who is your greatest investor?
Okay, I'm going to again be unconventional with my answer, because my answers are usually so unconventional. Now, if you look at how people are, like, I don't know if you probably know, there's this Gaussian curve that comes like something like this.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, and
yeah,
there are some people at this side that are like outliers, overperformers. There are some people on this side that are like underperformers,
yeah.
and most of us, we fall into
Middle,
this this middle portion.
yeah,
Even when you look at human characteristics, whether it's height, whether it's weight, there are people that are extremely tall, people that are extremely short, but most people fall into that middle part of the curve.
yeah.
So sometimes I think it's sometimes unfair to start comparing everyone to the outliers. Not everyone can be like Warren Buffett when it comes to investment. It will, I mean, in a lifetime, there are not many people that will be like him, and that's why in the book I put a story of a lady called Grace Rona,
Mm-hmm.
because she represents like the everyday person, the underdog. Like, she was just a secretary, and there are many people that fall into that. She didn't have any extra investment knowledge. She was not studying. She did not have any Benjamin Graham or something, someone as a mentor. All she did was followed simple principles like invest for the long term and just keep reinvesting your dividends. And that's all she did. And from $180, she was able to leave $7.2 million for her school. So it's people like that, I think, that really inspire me. Not people that are out of this world, but people that are everyday people that do extraordinary things. And that's why I think I'll pick Grace Krona. There are many more people like her, but it just makes us realize that you don't have to be extra special to be able to invest. And that's why I think I'll just pick her.
Okay. What's your take on giving? I know earlier you mentioned it that a lot of people downplay that. What's your take on giving? And are you currently giving to any institution, NGO at the moment?
Okay, so my take on giving is the more you give, the more you receive. Just like I said with investment and seeds and everything that you have is not yours for the keeping. You have to let go of some of the things you have. Not only because the more you give, the more you receive, but the more you give, you find out that the more happiness you have. You find out that the healthier you become. I think they did a study where they found out that people that volunteered, they lived longer than people that did not that were not volunteering. So I think it's all part of our lives that we actually need to give, and the more we give, the better and happier and the more fulfilled we feel as human beings. Now, is there any organization I'm giving to at the moment? I actually give to is it UNICEF, like on a monthly basis. That's deducted from my account. But with my book, I'm planning to sponsor this organization called Teach for Nigeria. So basically, it's a non-governmental organization, and what they do is like they get people, and I'm actually inspired by the people that actually join them as I can't remember what term they use now, but there are people that have graduated from school and then they go there and then they work for them for for free, I think, just to teach children in schools. They go into primary schools. You see people that have graduated from university, studied exotic courses, and they go and they teach basic children, and the children, apart from learning from them, they are also inspired by them, like, oh, I want to become like this person someday. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to gather funds from my book, and possibly at the end of the year, I'm going to give towards that organization.
Okay.
It's not something I planned when I started writing the book, but again, we learn on the process. And the more when I was writing, when I was reading and writing and reflecting, and then it dawned on me like, okay, I'm talking about giving. Why can't I give towards an organization? So I think it's something that we need to do as human beings more often. The more we give, the happier we become as human beings.
If you were to change anything, if you could turn back the hands of time, let's say 10, 15 years back, what would you change with regards to your finances?
Okay, so if I could change anything 10, 15 years back, I think that I'll probably have cut down on the necessary things I spent money on. I wasted a lot of money when I was young, and looking back, I think that is a lot of money that I could have put to good cause. So, but more importantly, I think that I would have invested in my knowledge earlier enough. Even when I was in school, with all those free times I talked about during the strikes and everything, I would have learned the things that I'm just learning now. Because if I had known what I know now 10 years ago, I think that I would have gone way farther than I am now. So I think ultimately what I would have done is to actually learn about these things I'm learning now, like learn about finances, acquire skills, and then take it from there really.
Are you currently investing in any individual stocks, or you are strictly ETFs?
At the moment,
100%.
I'm strictly index
100.
fund. Yeah, but
Okay.
like I said, I think we need to have another discussion off camera on how I need to start going active, because I think
Are,
that's the way. So, yeah,
are there
but
any individual? Yeah.
I do more of I think I'm leaning towards more of real estate than stocks at
Okay.
the moment. That's why and again with the time I have, like my sister, I saw her on trading 212 platform, and she was like,
Oh.
oh, going this that, and I was like, I don't think I have the time and the time and the knowledge and the space to do that. But yeah, I think to be honest, I think active investments yields greater returns, obviously. But again, I need to factor in the fact that I'm I almost never have time. That's why I just decided to go passive, because that
Yeah.
saves me. At least I know, even if I'm not actively investing, at least I'm putting some money into the stock markets. But
Yeah.
like I've said, I
Yeah.
think I need to go active as well.
At least just to balance it up a bit. I tell some people
Exactly.
some things like just look for those three things: excellent management team, a company that innovates, and then the third thing is the company that has excellent balance sheets. Once they have that, the next step is invest in them and do nothing. Like
Hmm.
just invest and do
Yeah.
nothing. Um, I know someone around July, thereabouts, he had invested in Tesla,
Yeah.
and then Tesla was going down. Tesla went up as at then, they had not announced the stock split. So it went up around $1,750
Hmm.
per share and then started coming down. And somewhere along the line, the guy just sold his Tesla shares. And I asked him, I said, why did you sell? Just leave it. Why did you
Hmm.
sell? And he was
Yeah.
like, it's going down. I was going to lose all his profits. I'm like, no, just leave it. Invest and do nothing. That's just,
Yeah.
you invest in a good company, put your money there and do nothing, except any of those three things is faulting in
Okay.
any way.
Yeah.
And then before you know what was happening, they announced the stock split, and then boom, Tesla started going up again. It got to around 2.5, and then the stock splits ended. It started trading around like 400 and something dollars, and then it started coming back down. We started selling again, and then next thing again, S&P inclusion, boom, it starts going back up. It's for me, just invest your money and just let it go. There are rare
Yeah.
companies like that. A few of them, um, they happen to come around once in a while, like Amazon. It's a once in a lifetime company. Apple, it's a once in a
Yeah.
lifetime company. It just comes like that, right?
Hmm.
And it goes. I think Tesla is one of them, right?
Mm.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There was a time that you had majorly horses and cats attached to them
Yeah.
in the early
Yeah.
1900s. And then
Hmm.
later if you look at the streets, you have majority of horses and then maybe one rich man using one car.
Hmm.
Flip it, 10 years after, you had a lot of people using cars and just one donkey riding a horse with a cart behind it. And then later again, you have everywhere cars. And cars have evolved from mechanical to a mix of electrical and mechanical. And now it's going purely electric. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So it's something you want to be invested in. Again, Tesla is like little startup companies to a big company. Like they do almost everything themselves. Their chips themselves. They're massively innovating. They make their own robots that build the cars.
Yeah.
They do everything themselves. They construct their factories themselves. They make their own batteries. Even though they have Panasonic and CATL, they also make their own batteries. And they've open sourced this thing to people. Like, if you want to use it, you can come and use, right? And then they're just massively innovating. They are mining. They want to go into mining their own lithium and all of that. They are heavy on research. Elon Musk is just a beast. Look at everything he has done. He's a beast. Look at everything he has done. SpaceX, Tesla, PayPal, Zip, Neuralink. The guy's just everywhere. Thank you very much, Tunde, for your insights. And we hope to have you here again sometime in the near future. Maybe after selling 1 million copies of your book.
Thanks, Oshin. Thanks for having me. And I consider this a very great privilege. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. And a final word to people watching this video. Final words.
Final word. I think my final word is don't assume that you know it all. We all have blind spots. So try to learn more. The more you learn, the more you earn.
Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.